It's probably too late now. I know it is for me. Although that hardly matters anymore, as very soon you all shall see. As a last act of rebellious acceptance, I even left my door unlatched, as from the second I put pen to paper, a team of thought police dispatched. All that's left for me now is a few minutes to try and tell you all my tale. Then I'll be dragged to the Ministry of Love, into that dark and loathsome jail. I won't lie and say I'm not frightened of what's inside room 101, but I'll use my last free act to document how life's fabric came undone. First there came the fires, but not in places you'd expect. The orange skies were burned and bruised just like the world that they reflect. Whole towns turned into embers, houses swallowed up by flames. We all just watched on, sympathetic, but through the smoke the virus came. We carried it, like luggage, to every corner of the globe. Soon so many started coughing that the hospitals couldn't cope. For a while the rules were simple, everyone knew how best to serve. Stay inside your homes, they told us, so we may flatten out the curve. Days turned into weeks and months, but the curve was still not flat, and so the leaders lost their patience and each decided that was that. They let us out and made incentives for us to confidently spend, and so relieved were we all obliged, pleased to be at lockdown's end. But the theatre doors stayed darkened, and there were still no live events. They juggled health and economics, and the rules stopped making sense. The leadership was beyond question, so it was really no surprise that they could take their trips to castles and say it was just to check their eyes, but it was us whose eyes were failing as we tried to toe their line. Big Brother would trick or treat us like criminals and manufactured heavy fines. There was tension thick about the air like an unexploded powder keg, until at last we saw the image of the knee upon the neck. While so-called leaders hid in bunkers, somehow people held their ground. We stood together against oppression and tore slave owners' statues down. But a new enemy was brewing, as we fought for equality of race. But this new foe had fooled us all alike, though it had no body and no face. A beast that fed on algorithms, and we were powerless to stop it. Under the guise of 1,000 songs, they put CCTV in your pocket. Somehow they built a sort of prison, but one that had no need for bars. They conjured up a state in which the inmates were the guards. They tracked us through our photos and placed pins down at our feet. They stood back and let us publish every thought we had in tweets, and the TikToks kept us dancing, but it no longer felt divine. Slowly the only source of news we needed was online. Elections ceased to matter. Integrity produced only failures. Compromise met its demise as we were locked in echo chambers. You always think it would take decades for a world to manifest that we should fear, but all the things I've written now culminated in 1 year. They ground the artists out of business. They told the dancers to retrain. They kept the writers so distracted that their writing was in vain. They made musicians no longer necessary since the concert halls were closed. And the actors, comedians and poets were rounded up and all disposed. If this message has made it to you, then there's hope, if but a shred. As long as thought is free and independent and lives and thrives inside your head. I once read a novel by George Orwell about how easily the powerful can lull us until nothing was your own except the few cubic centimeters inside your skull. I believe that's where we find our humanity, in thoughts and words that are free and true. They can burn a book but not an idea, and so that spark lives on in you. I hope you find this. I regret nothing. They're here now, at my door. We all thought it was 2020, but it was COVID 1984.